Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So what we're going to be discussing, I have Drumbum here. Drumbum, go and give a little hello.
What's up? How you guys doing? Let's get into these mice, man.
I'm excited, man. We're going to talk about the best gaming mouse that you should be using for Apex Legends. And so what we have is Drumbum and I have picked our top two, and we're going to talk about themes and tips. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off with the most controversial pick, and it really comes down to my favorite mouse, which is the G303 Shroud Edition. Now, this mouse is really special to me just because of the way the shape feels is very, very different. Now, what's crazy, even though this would be my #1 pick, I think there's going to be a theme of what we're going to teach in this video when it comes to comfort and what works best personally for you. Wouldn't you agree on that?
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's probably not a world where I'm picking that mouse for my favorite mouse. But we have different hands, we have different comforts, we have different things that we enjoy. So yeah, I definitely am super excited to hear why the G303 is your favorite mouse.
Okay, so I'll break that down, and then I think because I got a camera on my hand, and so you're going to be able to do the same for you. Maybe that'll teach people on why, right? Is that what 100%. I do is I use my pointer finger and I use my middle finger on the left mouse click. Now, what that does is that forces my pinky to hug the right side of the mouse, which is a diamond shape, and my pinky really forces that edging on there because of it. And that creates more stability and control for my mouse. Now, the reason I've done that is my middle finger is a lot more consistent and doesn't shake as much. Now, I used to have this weird thing with my pointer finger that if I kept pressing, I would create like a weird jitter or my hand started to shake. So it creates some stability on my hand, as well as it forces the arch, because I also do a weird thing with my pinky where it extends out. So this is a very specific issue that solves for me, but then it creates that comfort. It's got I love the surface area of the G303 where it has a wider, I guess, grip compared to just dots. And that's why I use the SkyPad, because of that, I have more surface touch, and therefore I can, glide a lot more. Now that's my justification. Logitech is very consistent. I love the sensor, and I even had this one's modded, by the way. Now this one actually comes in around 57 grams compared to the normal 75 grams. And that is dramatic. We're almost dropping
that's huge.
20 grams here. So I'm gonna pass it off to you, and I want to hear your thoughts, because you are using a mouse that I know very well, which is the Lamzu Atlantis, right? I don't want to spoil it, sorry.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's all good. Yeah, I am currently using and in love with and have been addicted to this shape for some time now. This is the Lamzu Atlantis OG 4K. So this is the 4K version, of course. The one that you see right now, again, me and Daz are some nerds, guys. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Me and Daz are some nerds. Mine's modded as well, but it's only painted. Shout out Nacho Customs. It's a different colorway with my logo on it, which is pretty cool. But this is my third Atlantis. So I used the first OG Atlantis V1 when it first came out, and then they dropped the bomb of dropping the 4K version with the updated mouse gate size and updated internals. And so I copped that one immediately, and the coating is better on that one as well. And then I got another one that's custom, because I love this mouse so much. I decided to make it my first custom mouse. The reason that I love the Atlantis so much, my #1 reason, is the shape. I'm a huge fan of this shape. Now, I have very large hands. I don't know my exact measurements, but I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'8" in person. You can ask Daz. I'm not lying. I promise. I'm a big guy, so I have big hands, but I use a relaxed claw fingertip hybrid grip. It's the most comfortable shape that I've ever used for my grip. I've used a lot of things, everything from the Super Light that everyone loves so much, and the Final Mouse, and all these different mice. I've used a bunch of different shapes, and this shape is actually very similar to the Endgame Gear XM1 that came out a couple of years ago. Very similar shape, but the comfort grooves are definitely a little more aggressive on this mouse, which to me makes it feel 10 times more comfortable. I don't pull the hump all the way back. You guys can see here in the camera that the hump is more towards the back side of the mouse rather than in the middle, which we see a lot in a lot of mice. It's more towards the back, but I don't necessarily like claw grip so hard that it's aggressively tucked into my hand. A lot of times I shift it a little bit forward where that back hump is sitting almost in the center part of my hand, where I can have a lot more ability to use claw grip if I'm doing large motions or arm aiming. But if I want to do something more fingertip, a little more dialed, I have the ability to do that. And this shape allows for that perfectly for me personally. I also love the weight. It does come in at 57 grams, which is definitely on the lighter side. I think, we're learning as time goes on that the lighter the mouse, the better, because we want the least amount of resistance in our hand. We want to feel like when you're gaming, you want to not feel like I'm moving something to make make my crosshair move, but I myself am just making my crosshair move. So I'm a big fan of things getting lighter, and I love this mouse. And another really cool thing about it is that with the upgraded version of the 4K version, it goes up to 4K polling rate. If you guys don't know what polling rate is, it's pretty much like the refresh rate of your monitor, but for your mouse. The average mouse in the past couple of years has been anywhere from 500 to 1,000 refresh rate, and this mouse goes all the way up to 4,000, which is very, very smooth, especially if you have something like a 240 hertz high refresh monitor. So you can feel it a little bit better. Definitely a really, really smooth, really good experience, especially in a game like Apex when every micro adjustment has to be perfect.
You'll notice that what's interesting is that the Lamzu Atlantis is not necessarily a small mouse either. It's kind of like, would you say it's like in the middle, really?
Yeah, it's definitely more of a medium size, kind of like in the same shape category as like the Superlight. Like in that medium, like kind of can fit a lot of different. They do have a mini version as well, but I do like the regular better because
I've used the regular.
It's not a big mouse.
And it's very ergonomic, and I love the texture on it. It's very different too, right?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has a more chalky texture to it for sure. Mine's painted, but I have the other version thing on my desk as well. And it's definitely a little more chalky. And I really enjoy the grip. It does, you're going to show fingerprints, especially in something like the black version. But yeah, I think it's one of the best coatings in all of mice right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I wanted to point that out because no offense to, like, I have the Superlight 2 here with me, but the coating is very, if you sweat a lot, it's going to feel a little odd, I mean, just like my G Thread 3 can get a little gunky, these mice, unfortunately, just when you spend a lot of time, that's important to really consider. So we're talking about best, you notice that almost every mouse that we're going to talk about, we're going to get into our number 2 picks, is that every mouse has a fantastic sensor, essentially, these days. You're not going to have anything that's necessarily bad. But when it comes to the best gaming mouse, it really comes down to shape. And I love how we both instantly started talking about shape. First and foremost, shows that we've used a lot of mice. I mean, I got a lot of them on my desk right here already. Yeah, it's just the fact that shape is just everything after whenever you locked in the mouse pad, because you got to be able to hold it. And I liked how you talked about you have a modified grip style, because even I have a modified grip style. It's like I don't have the hump touching the back, and it's not necessarily fingertip, but it's like a modified fingertip and claw, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little strange. I mean, I know that you can kind of change a little bit. I don't know if you do this in game as well when you're gripping your mouse, is that sometimes you may, when you're trying to be more precise at distance, okay, maybe you might go with a full claw and more relaxed, but versus whenever you're more active, then you kind of change your grip style just a little bit to be a little bit more free-flowing, right?
I really think as like Apex players, like you have to be the most dynamic with your mouse compared to a lot of other games. You kind of like, especially like something like attack shooter, like we talked about in our last video, which you should check out. Something like CS:GO or a Valorant, you're very steady. Everything is very locked in. You're holding angles. You're doing that. Apex, you're on the move 24/7. So having a reactive style grip style definitely, I think, is a very big Apex thing, but a very helpful thing when you're playing something like Apex, because you do have to do large movements or really, really short, precise movements, like tracking somebody directly in front of you, or like what Daz was saying, when you tuck your mouse in a little bit more to have a little more stability if you're shooting at range, maybe sniping or using a 30-30 repeater or a G7 Scout or something like that.
Exactly. Let's talk about our number 2 picks. I'm gonna let you kick this one off since I started off right off the rip.
Oh, definitely. So my number 2 pick is a little different. It's a little different. So this, in my opinion, is the best bang for your buck mouse on the entire market. Now, hear me out. It's wired. I know in 2023, going into 2024, having a wire in your mouse is the biggest sin you can have in your setup. I know it's crazy, but just hear me out, especially for those of you who are looking to upgrade your setups and not spend a ton of money. This is the Razer DeathAdder V3 wired edition. Now, the DeathAdder V3 Pro is the wireless one. It's a super popular mouse, especially for pros and competitive. It's one of the most used mice across all of esports, next to like something like the Superlight or the Superlight 2, stuff from like Logitech. It's very, very, very popular. This version is only coming in, where the wireless version comes in about $150. This one you can find anywhere from $50 to $70.
Wow, that's like, what the heck? That's actually cheap.
No, cheaper.
Dude, you have all the insight for like affordable, but like the gems. That's crazy.
We gotta hook the people up, Daz. We gotta hook the people up, man. So the shape is iconic. It's obviously an ergonomic. My last mouse was an ambidextrous mouse, or an ambi mouse. This is an ergonomic shape, so it is a little bit different. It's definitely right hand only. It's definitely a right hand only mouse, but it's so high quality for the price. We guys know a couple years ago, if you're really into the mice scene in the mouse space, we know like the Viper Mini back in the day was hopping. Everyone loved it because it was the best bang for your buck mouse. Excuse me. In my opinion, this is that version for 2023 going into 2024. It does have that ergonomic shape, kind of like that Zowie EC shape, that DeathAdder shape that we all have come to understand in the past year or two. The clicks are optical clicks. They do feel very, very good. The scroll wheel feels pretty good. The coating isn't as, in my opinion, I do like the Lamzu Atlantis coating a little bit better. But it is a very, very good quality. You can, when you grab this mouse out of the box, it feels very high quality. But the big selling point is the fact that you're only spending anywhere between 60 and 70 bucks for up to 8,000 hertz polling rate.
What the heck?
8,000.
That's insane.
Because it's wired, it doesn't have to like push a high polling rate over a frequency, over a wireless frequency. It's a direct wired frequency to your computer. Now, I will say Apex doesn't run the best at 8,000 hertz. It's not super optimized for that. But for other games or anything like that, but you can also drop it down to 4,000 or 2,000 or 1,000 hertz and have a great experience. And factually, you can fact check me. You can Google this if you guys want to, but I believe that this mouse has the least amount of click latency in any mouse in gaming history.
I think you're right. I think I've seen graphs on that too.
Yeah, it has that you can purchase that, and it's only 60 bucks that you can purchase. That's obviously not like based off of a mod or something like that, but it like that you can just go probably the Best Buy, to be honest with you, or just Amazon, and cop this mouse and have some of the best response time that you've ever felt in the game. And it's only 57 grams in this big size. The wireless version is like 65 grams or something like that. So that's my pick for number 2. This is my best, and in my opinion, the best bang for the buck mouse on the entire market.
Dude, I've learned a lot just by hearing you talking about it. That's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous, honestly.
All right, I'm going to talk about my number 2, but I'm going to give a special shout out to the G Pro Wireless, you know, the Superlight, the whole series. Listen, it is an iconic shape. It's the potato. Everyone knows that it's the most comfortable. Now, you'll notice on my Superlight 2 that I kind of modded it a little bit by adding like Final Mouse stuff on the side to make it look like a G303. Like, again, once you gravitate towards the shape, I mean, you're going to love it. And, you know, Logitech is just iconic. But I want to pick something a little bit more interesting here. Something that's a bit more of a hidden gem, which is the Rogue Harpy Ace, you know, the AimLab gaming mouse here. What I find really interesting about this mouse is that it's not just really about having, you know, the best of everything, but having a best of all worlds, right? The shape is really nice. It's like having a mix of a G Pro and maybe a Lamzu Atlantis, since I've used both of them before, but also just how clean this mouse is in terms of grip and feel. I think it's really unique in how the surface works. You know, you got the Teflon, a bigger set up top, and then, because that's where you put most of your pressure on, and then, you know, less, I guess you could say, mouse gates at the bottom, which I also found really interesting. It's not necessarily going crazy with 2K polling, 4K polling, but the interesting part of the mouse is just how good the sensor is. Usually when you think of Asus, you don't think of, oh, I'm going to get the best mouse on the market, but this one is really a sleeper, and, you know, it's got a USB-C, and it just has a really nice click over a really nice feel, really nice build across the board. And if you're looking for a mouse that has that, I guess you could call it affordability, but with features that aren't going to disappoint you, with a big brand and big name, then this is going to be a strong direction to go into, especially with this mouse. I know all wireless mouse are expensive, so don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in general, middle of the road. It's right. Isn't this just an odd pick? I know it's an odd pick, but have you used this mouse before?
So I haven't had the luxury of using it, but I'm really tapped into the space, and I've heard nothing but good things. Everyone was like, this is one of the most surprising mice to come out in a very long time. And the fact that it came out with an AimLab collaboration could, you know, should tell you a little bit what's going on here. They really do care about making a good product, and if Daz vouches it, then I have to say it's probably a great mouse.
I agree. I mean, hey, listen, it's just nice to have, because it's such a different shape, and I know a lot of people put a lot of love into this. It's just a shame it never got more popular, but I have seen some pros use it, and it's just a mouse that does have that oomph behind it, right? I found our picks really interesting. Again, the theme that I found is just finding something that's a good shape. All sensors are pretty equal in the market these days. I mean, you're going to have good performance, but finding something that's comfortable for you. This one's a little harder in terms of like just saying, you know, go buy a lot of mice, because mice are a lot more expensive compared to, let's say, mouse pads. But hopefully by just seeing our hands and what we decided to use and our justification, maybe, I mean, you're obviously using a mouse watching this video, that you start to change and say, okay, what do I like and what don't I like? And then looking for a shape that will kind of fit your mold, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm a big fan of doing your research before the things that, you know, before you purchase something that you want to try to stick with for a long time. And thankfully, we live in a world where you can return stuff if you don't like it. So
exactly.
I definitely would say, you know, make sure you do your research, figure out what your hand size is and what your grip style is and what you enjoy to use. And maybe there might be something either on this list or just out there that you really enjoy. Well,
Drumbum, thank you so much for giving your top 2 picks. And I mean, listen, this was good. I enjoy this. Let us know if you want more of this. Comment down below, and we'll see you guys all in the next one.
Later, guys.
Later.